Jurassic Park is a pop culture powerhouse that spawned countless movies, bringing dinosaurs back into the spotlight time and time again. Some films are good, some are bad, but the dinosaurs are always the highlight, selling toys no matter how you feel about the stories. Kids will always think dinosaurs are cool, and we can all agree that the Chuck E. Cheese Jurassic Park arcade game made the Jurassic Park aisle at Target nearly impossible to walk past without at least stopping. That's why when Mattel created a diorama of one of cinema's most iconic marvels, the Jurassic Park gates, it should have been an easy win. Instead, it turned into an embarrassing crowdfunding event plagued with many of the same sins we've already seen from Mattel's competitor Hasbro. So let's dive in and explore the campaign and all the missteps that kept it from being the hit it should have been. Now let's talk about the base offering. For $250, you got a motorized Jurassic Park gate and a Ford Explorer toy. That's it. That was literally all Mattel offered at the start. The Ford Explorer wasn't even a new model. Fans had already seen it in the Legacy Collection T-Rex Escape Pack, and while this version had some added detail, it mostly felt like a sweetener to justify the price. Honestly, if you're buying a Mattel Creation Jurassic Park set, chances are you already have a Ford Explorer in your collection. It's the same problem we saw with Hasbro's Rancor campaign. When one of your bigger offerings is something many collectors already own, it doesn't feel special, it feels lazy. Now don't get me wrong, the gate had some fun features like lights, a motorized opening, it played the Jurassic Park theme, which I would have probably been showing everyone that came into my collector room, and the Explorer looked solid. But at this price point, no way, the base package of any crowdfunding campaign should stand on its own without relying on stretch goals, because here's the thing, there's no worse feeling than backing a project and then getting less than expected just because it was run incorrectly. The first tier unlocked at 6,000 backers, a Tim figure, and 2 electrified fences with light up features. Sounds pretty cool, but this should have been part of the base offering from the start. These aren't extras, they're core pieces of the gate. Without the fences, the gate displays look incomplete. This tier screamed corporate greed, because imagine if the project barely funded and you lost out on the fences, you'd be left with the 250 gate and car combo that felt half finished. Then came the second tier, and this one felt the worst to me because it committed multiple consumer sins. Mattel locked the Buck T-Rex from the Lost World behind this tier. On one hand, it was a sought after figure that fans genuinely wanted. On the other hand, it felt like a random addition compared to the other tiers. And worse, they forced collectors into a tough position. Mattel tied him directly to this already rocky campaign. That meant if you wanted Buck, you had to shell out $250 for the gate and Explorer, whether you cared about them or not. That's a frustrating move, and it made Buck fans feel like they were being strong-armed into funding. Large figures like this should never be locked behind tiers because it always creates a what could have been situation, no matter how you spin it. Missing out on a never released character due to funding goals will always feel like a slap in the face. To reopen a couple wounds, Buck finally got a release now in 2025, but it was still locked behind exclusivity barriers of San Diego Comic-Con. Buck fans have it rough, man. The third and final figure was a Lex figure and the GOAT with a removable hind leg as a stretch goal. I actually liked this one. I felt like a fun extra, but the circumstances around it ruined the impact. At 10,000 backers, it was never going to happen, and that made the whole thing feel more like dangling a carrot than rewarding the community. Yes, Lex is an important character, but an existing Lex figure had already been released. The GOAT, on the other hand, was perfect tier material, quirky, iconic to the scene, and a great addition to the Explorer. And the removable hind leg gave a fun play feature. We most likely weren't using it, but I love little play features like that. Now, Mattel made the worst sin of them all. They should have learned from the Robbie Reyes Engines of Vengeance fiasco, but they ran an early bird tier. Fans were pressured to back the project by July 11 to earn this tier. Honestly, if you're gonna do these, it should be reduced down to like a sticker or something. But no, they made them these amazing signs. Maybe it's the diorama builder in me, but they were perfect for enclosure displays. Losing out on them hurt even more than the gates themselves, and for many collectors this was a major blow. And when I say major collectors, I mostly mean myself. This is an amazing piece to me. You'd think Mattel would have learned from the backlash Hasbro got with Robbie Reyes, but instead it felt like they were copying Hasbro's mistakes beat for beat. Sometimes I wonder if the same people who worked on those failed HasLab projects ended up at Mattel. Like, did the CEO actually take steps and fire those people and they all just went over applied at Mattel? This campaign's ridiculous tiers and inflated backer counts only highlighted how much of this content should have been in the base offering to begin with. The outrage was loud, and Mattel eventually responded by restructuring their entire campaign. From what we've seen in previous projects, however, restructuring this late in the game usually signals one of two outcomes: a HasLab that barely scrapes by, or one that flat out fails. Mattel added the gates and Tim directly into the base package and dropped the thresholds for the remaining tiers, but with only about 8 days left in the campaign, they were clearly banking on fans to carry a last-minute surge. Mattel also made the mistake of ignoring international markets at the start. Hasbro learned this lesson early with their Unicron HasLab, and with the time Mattel had to study their competitors' mistakes, they should have known better. This project should never have been closed off to such a massive audience. And here's the thing, everyone loves dinosaurs, like I said in the beginning. The international box office proves it. The most recent Jurassic film pulled in over 500 million internationally, and Fallen Kingdom grossed over 800 million internationally. That's a huge market to ignore at launch and when advertising was at its peak, only to later try to bring in. By the time Mattel opened international orders, the damage was already done. This campaign was already surrounded by controversy, so many fans weren't even going to give it a second thought. I mean, if I'm backing this, I want the GOAT, but you would have lost me the second we lost those signs. The project ended with only 16,000 backers, far from the stretch goals and a grand failure for Jurassic Park fans. The gates will probably never see the light of day again, but fans can still buy or make great customs to recreate the iconic scene. I have seen countless creations, and the 3D printing community is always making it possible. And best believe I'm gonna make some 3D printed signs after this. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe for more toy breakdowns.